She stayed quiet when they mocked her clothes, ignored her presence, and planned to leave her behind. But the one person she thought wouldn't stand up for her did something no one saw coming. Zola is a kind and smart woman who grew up in a simple home. She gets married into the rich and proud Maduka family, hoping for a warm welcome. But from the very first day, things are cold. Her mother-in-law, Olachi, and sister-in-law, Amaka, never truly accept her. They don't yell or fight with her. They just treat her like she doesn't matter. When she enters a room, they stop talking. When she tries to help, they brush her off. Zola notices, but she stays calm and respectful. She keeps trying to fit in, hoping they'll change. Her husband, Toby, loves her, but he stays silent. He sees what's happening, but he never says anything. Maybe he's afraid to go against his family, or maybe he doesn't know how to stand up for her. So Zola is left alone in a big house full of people who act like she's invisible. She eats in silence, walks on eggshells, and smiles through the pain. She doesn't shout, she doesn't complain, but her heart feels heavy every day. This part of the story shows her quiet strength. She is not weak, just tired. It sets the mood for everything that's coming. The unfairness, the silence, and the slow build-up of pain. All of it makes the viewer feel for Zola. You want to reach into the screen and stand beside her, and you start to wonder, how long can someone stay strong without breaking? This is where Zola's journey begins. Not loud, not dramatic, just a soft woman trying to survive in a place that doesn't see her. The Maduka family is buzzing with excitement as they prepare for their yearly luxury vacation to Zanzibar. Everyone is talking, planning, laughing, but Zola feels something is off. She walks into the living room and the conversation suddenly stops. Whispers follow her like shadows. She notices how quickly phones are hidden when she enters the room. One evening, she hears Amaka laughing about the group chat where all the vacation plans are being made. Zola isn't in it. She checks her phone again and again, thinking maybe it's a mistake. But no, they didn't forget her. They left her out on purpose. She tries to help with the planning. She suggests a few ideas for places they could visit, things they could do, but her voice is ignored. Her words hang in the air, unacknowledged. Someone changes the topic. Someone else pretends not to hear. And then Amaka, with a smirk on her face, says loudly, "Well, some places aren't for everyone." Everyone laughs except Zola. It's not just a joke, it's a message. A reminder that she's not truly one of them. Zola starts noticing more signs. The tailor comes to take measurements for vacation outfits. She's not called. Suitcases are lined up in the hallway. Hers is missing. There's a family meeting about flight times. She finds out after it ends. Still, she doesn't complain. She walks with her head high, even though her heart feels like it's sinking. She tries to smile when Tobe talks about how excited he is. She doesn't want to ruin his joy, even as hers is slipping away. Every moment becomes heavier. The silence around her becomes louder. The way they look at her, talk around her, leave her out. It's not loud or cruel, but it cuts deep. It's not yelling. It's not fighting. It's silence that feels like screaming. The injustice is quiet but powerful. The viewer can feel her pain without her saying a single word. It's in her eyes when she watches them laugh. It's in her pause before entering a room. It's in the way she folds her hands in her lap, waiting to be noticed. Zola is trying so hard to be part of the family, but they are making it clear she's not welcome. This part of the story pulls the audience in emotionally. You start to see the weight of being quietly pushed out, of being present but unseen. The cruelty isn't in what they do, it's in what they don't do. And it makes you root for Zola, hoping one day she'll be seen, heard, and treated the way she deserves. One afternoon, Zola walks past the sitting room and hears Olachi on a video call with one of her friends. She's laughing, holding a glass of juice, talking like she doesn't have a care in the world. Then she says something that makes Zola freeze in her steps. "She's just a shadow here. I can't have her ruining our vacation photos." Her voice is sharp with laughter, but her words feel like knives. Zola stands there, hidden from view, her heart sinking deeper than ever. She wasn't just forgotten, she was erased, treated like a smudge on the perfect picture Olachi wants to paint. Zola doesn't say anything. She doesn't storm in or shout. She simply walks back to her room, slowly, quietly, like she's carrying a weight too heavy to bear. She closes the door and sits on the bed, staring at nothing. The silence in the room wraps around her like a blanket, not comforting, but cold. Tears start to fall, slow at first, then faster. Not loud sobs, just silent crying, the kind that comes from deep, deep pain, the kind you cry when you're too tired to fight back. But even in that moment, Zola doesn't think of revenge. She doesn't rush out to tell Tobe. She doesn't run to anyone for sympathy. Instead, she stands up and walks to the closet. She takes out Tobe's clothes and begins folding them gently, piece by piece, placing them in his suitcase. Shirts, pants, even his favorite cologne. She wipes her face between tasks, but keeps packing. She's hurting, but she still thinks of him, still wants him to be ready, even though she knows she's not going. Every zip of the suitcase feels like another stitch closing up her heart. She's used to being quiet, used to swallowing pain, but this time, it cuts differently. This time, she feels something breaking inside. Not loudly, not all at once, but in small, aching pieces. Still, she moves through the room like a ghost, like someone who's learned how to disappear without being noticed. This moment shows how deep Zola's love goes, and how strong she is, even in her lowest point. She chooses grace, even when no one is watching. Her silence is not weakness, it's survival, but it leaves viewers holding their breath, wishing they could shout for her, wishing someone would finally see her. Because now, Zola isn't just invisible, she's hurting in silence, and the pain is becoming too big to hide. The next morning, Zola wakes up early. Her eyes are tired from crying, but her face is calm. She walks into the living room and finds Toby standing by the suitcase she packed. He looks confused. His eyes move slowly from the bag to her. "You packed this?" he asks softly. Zola nods. She doesn't say much, just a quiet yes. Toby looks around. "Where's yours?" he asks again. She looks down and doesn't answer. That's when it clicks. He realizes she's not going. They didn't include her. His face doesn't show anger. It shows something deeper, disappointment, like he suddenly sees something he should have seen long ago. He doesn't yell. He doesn't make a scene. He just walks away and takes out his phone. "Can you send the car?" he says. That's all. Everyone in the house thinks he's heading to the airport, maybe planning to meet the rest of the family. Olachi and Amaka are already dressed, snapping selfies, laughing, sipping on their coffee like nothing ever happened. But hours later, everything changes. Amaka checks her phone during the flight layover, and her face freezes. She stares at her screen, confused, annoyed. There's a new post on her social feed. It's Tobe, smiling, relaxed, riding a quad bike through the golden desert in Namibia. And sitting behind him, arms around his waist, is Zola. Her face is glowing in the sunlight, wind blowing through her hair. The caption under the photo reads, "Sometimes you have to remind people who really matters." That one post shakes everything. Comments start rolling in. People are surprised, impressed, even emotional. It's clear now, Tobe didn't just go on vacation. He made a choice. He didn't pick luxury over love. He picked Zola. He didn't shout at his family or fight them. He simply took the one person who stood by him quietly and gave her the adventure she deserved. And he did it in a way no one expected. Zola, the invisible wife, is no longer invisible. The same girl they ignored, left behind, and joked about, is now the one smiling in the middle of the desert, free, seen, loved. This twist hits hard because it's not loud or messy. It's smooth, calm, and full of meaning. It shows that real power doesn't always come from fighting back. Sometimes it comes from walking away and choosing peace with the right person. Viewers can't help but cheer inside. The one they felt sorry for is finally being seen, not because she begged for it, but because someone who truly mattered finally opened his eyes. As soon as the photo of Toby and Zola in Namibia hits social media, the Maduka family group chat goes wild. Message after message starts pouring in. What is this? Where is Toby? Is Zola with him? The group that once ignored Zola now can't stop talking about her. Olachi calls Tobe over and over again, but he doesn't pick up, not once. She tries to stay calm, but her pride is cracking. For the first time, she's not in control. When the rest of the family arrives at the fancy resort in Zanzibar, everything feels off. The sun is shining, the beach is perfect, but their moods are dark. The usual laughter and loud conversations are gone. No one talks much. Olachi wears her big sunglasses, pretending everything is fine, but everyone can see she's unsettled. Even Amaka is unusually quiet, constantly checking her phone, hoping for a reply from Toby, but nothing comes. People at the resort begin asking where Toby is. He's the golden boy of the family, always expected, always in the spotlight. Olachi smiles politely and says he had other plans, but the truth is heavy in her voice. She knows Zola was supposed to be invisible. Now she's the center of attention, and that burns. Without Zola in the house, the balance is broken. The little things she used to do, checking in with the house staff, making sure everyone was comfortable, keeping peace during family dinners, are now missing, and the family feels it. Her quiet presence had kept the home calm. Now the absence is loud. What hits even harder is the fact that Toby chose her, not secretly, not shyly, but boldly, in public. The photo wasn't just a vacation memory, it was a message to his mother, to his sister, to the whole world. He finally took a stand, and it flipped everything. The power Olachi and Chiamaka thought they had is slipping. They no longer look strong, they look bitter, and for the first time, people around them start asking hard questions. Why wasn't Zola invited? Is something going on in the family? Friends start whispering. Their perfect image is cracking. This moment shakes the Maduka family at their core. They can't pretend anymore. Zola's quiet exit and sudden glow-up with Toby made something clear. The peace in their lives wasn't because of their money or pride. It was because of the woman they ignored, the woman they tried to silence. And now that she's being seen, they are the ones being exposed. Far away from the noisy house, the side comments, and the silent pain, Zola and Toby finally have time alone. No one is watching. No one is interrupting. Just the two of them under the wide Namibian sky. After a long day exploring, they sit quietly outside their cabin, the desert breeze soft against their faces. The silence between them is no longer heavy. It's full of thoughts waiting to be shared. Toby turns to Zola and speaks gently. "I saw it all, Zola," he says. "Every time they ignored you, every time they made you feel small, I saw it." Zola looks at him, surprised. "Then why didn't you say anything?" she asks, her voice soft but steady. Her eyes aren't angry, they're hurt, and that's worse. Toby lowers his head. "Because I was a coward," he admits. "I thought staying quiet was keeping the peace, but it only hurt you more." Zola listens, not saying anything for a moment. She had dreamed of hearing these words, but now that they've come, they don't fix everything. "So why now?" she asks. "What changed?" Tobe looks at her, his voice trembling a bit. You never gave up on loving me, even when you were hurting. But I realized love isn't just about feelings. It's about standing beside the one you love when it's hardest." He reaches for her hand, but she hesitates. "You let them treat me like I didn't matter," she says quietly. "That didn't break us, but it almost did." Tobe nods. "I know. I'm sorry. I can't take back what I didn't do before, but I can do better from now on, and I will." This moment is raw and real. It's not a fairy tale fix. Zola doesn't jump into his arms or smile instantly, but she lets her hand rest in his. A small step, a sign that she's open, not to forget but to rebuild, together. For the first time in months, they truly see each other, not just as husband and wife, but as two people choosing each other again, this time with eyes wide open. It's not perfect, and it's not rushed, but it's real. Viewers feel this deeply, because it's not just romance, it's growth. Tobe isn't a hero, because he took her on a trip. He becomes one when he listens, apologizes, and promises to change. And Zola shows strength not just in staying, but in asking the hard questions. This is where the real love story begins, in truth, in healing, and in finally being heard. A few days into their trip, after quiet talks and healing moments, Toby decides to share something from his heart. He opens his professional page, the one followed by thousands. It's where he usually talks about business, success, and advice. But today, he writes something different, something real. He posts a photo of him and Zola standing in the desert, holding hands, both of them smiling softly. Then below it he writes, "Love is easy in private, but real love shows up when it's inconvenient, when it's uncomfortable, and when it costs you something." The post is short, but powerful. It spreads fast. Within hours, people start liking, sharing, and commenting. This gave me chills. Finally, a man who gets it. Zola, we see you. The internet does what it does best. It picks up something honest and turns it into a movement. Blogs start writing about it. Relationship pages repost it. Even people who don't know them begin rooting for this quiet, graceful woman who never complained, and the man who finally stood beside her when it mattered most. Everyone starts seeing Zola in a new light, not as the quiet, forgettable wife, but as a strong woman who carried herself with grace, even when no one clapped for her. She didn't scream, she didn't fight to be seen, yet now the whole world sees her, and they respect her for it. Toby also gets praised, not just for the post, but for the change behind it. People say, this is what growth looks like. This is how you protect your partner. His words touched something deep in people, because love, real love, isn't just private dinners and sweet words. It's standing up when it's uncomfortable. It's choosing someone when others expect you to choose them. Meanwhile, back at home, Olachi is not smiling. Her friends have seen the post. They're sending her screenshots. Some are silent, some are throwing shade. Wow, your daughter-in-law looks stunning in Namibia. That quote really hit me. Such wisdom. But behind those words, she hears the judgment. They all know what really happened, and she feels it. For the first time, Olachi is not in control of the story. She can't spin it or cover it up. The world already knows. Her power is slipping, and it's not coming back. Chiamaka sees it too. She scrolls through the post, her mouth tight. Hundreds of comments praising Zola, not one person mentioning them. This moment isn't just a social media win. It's a shift in power, a shift in truth. The people who stayed silent for too long are finally being seen, and the ones who tried to hide behind pride, they're finally being seen too, but in a different light. And now, the whole world is watching. When Toby and Zola return home, the atmosphere is thick. Everyone is pretending nothing happened. Olachi acts like everything is normal. She smiles, greets them sweetly, and even offers Zola tea, something she never did before. But Zola knows this is fake. It's the same house, the same people, but something is different now. Zola is no longer the quiet shadow in the corner, and Toby, he's no longer silent. They sit in the living room, the same place where Zola was often ignored. Olachi starts talking about how they missed them, how the house felt empty. Chiamaka sits with her legs crossed, scrolling on her phone, pretending not to care. But there's tension in her body. She knows something's coming. Everyone feels it. Tobe clears his throat. Calmly, without raising his voice, he says, "Let's not pretend. Things are going to be different from now on." Olachi's smile fades a little. "Different how?" she asks. Toby looks her straight in the eye. "Zola will be respected. She is my wife. She is part of this family. And if that's a problem, we'll walk away for good." Silence falls over the room. Olachi blinks, caught off guard. Chiamaka lets out a fake laugh. "You're being dramatic," she says. "Respect? For what?" She rolls her eyes, but Toby doesn't react. Instead, he calmly pulls a brown envelope from his bag and places it on the table. "These are the documents for the house," he says. "It now belongs to Zola." The room freezes. Chiamaka stops scrolling. Olachi slowly picks up the papers, her hands shaking just a little. It's real. It's legal. Toby has transferred ownership of the Maduka family house to Zola. The house they treated her like a guest in is now hers. Zola doesn't gloat. She doesn't smile. She just sits tall, her head held high. After everything, she doesn't need to say much. Her presence says it all. Olachi tries to speak. "But this is your father's house. This belongs to the family." Toby doesn't blink. "Zola is my family. If she doesn't feel safe here, we don't stay. This isn't about money. It's about respect. She has earned hers." Chiamaka looks at Zola, really looks at her, maybe for the first time. Not as a weak outsider, but as the woman who now holds the keys. Not just to the house, but to the peace they once took for granted. Toby leans back in his chair, calm but firm. Let's see who's invisible now. This moment is quiet, but loud. It's not shouting, not fighting, just truth, power, and justice, spoken in the clearest way. And this time, no one can ignore Zola, not anymore. After the storm settled, Zola did something no one expected. She planned a family dinner, not because she had to, not to prove anything, but to show who she really was. Strong, graceful, and calm, even after everything. She invited everyone, including Olachi and Chiamaka. Some thought she wouldn't, some thought she shouldn't, but Zola did it anyway, not because they deserved it, but because she wanted peace on her terms. On the evening of the dinner, the house felt different. Warm lights, soft music, and the smell of carefully cooked meals filled the air. Everything looked beautiful, but simple, just like Zola. The table was set with care, the chairs arranged with intention. When the guests arrived, Zola greeted each of them with a calm smile and polite words. Not too soft, not too sweet, just right. The biggest surprise came when the maid entered with the dishes and served Zola first. It was a small thing, but it spoke volumes. For years, Zola was always served last, or sometimes not at all. Now, her place at the table was clear. She didn't ask for it. She didn't demand it. She simply carried herself with quiet confidence, and the room followed. During the meal, she spoke clearly and firmly. She thanked everyone for coming. She didn't mention the past, didn't throw shade, but her tone said, "I'm no longer invisible." Even Alashi, who sat stiffly at first, watched Zola with new eyes. This wasn't the same woman she used to mock or ignore. This woman was leading the table, and not just with food, with presence. Chiamaka, always loud and sharp, stayed quieter than usual. She glanced around, watching how everyone now listened when Zola spoke, how even the cousins, who used to dismiss her, leaned in with interest. Something had shifted, and everyone felt it. Zola didn't use this dinner to rub anything in. She didn't show off the house papers or mention what Toby did. She didn't have to. Her grace said more than words ever could. She spoke to the uncle who once overlooked her. She laughed gently at a cousin's joke. She helped the maid serve dessert. All of it felt natural, and all of it showed she was in control now, not through force, but through calm strength. By the end of the night, people left with full stomachs and heavy thoughts. They had seen something powerful, a woman who rose above pain, and instead of revenge, chose respect. They saw Zola not as the weak, quiet wife anymore, but as the center, the backbone, the one who kept everything together without anyone noticing. Until now. The house was quiet after the dinner. Everyone had gone home, full of food and full of thoughts. Zola walked slowly through the hallway, passing the same walls that once echoed with whispers behind her back. But now, there was no more hiding, no more pretending. Everything had changed, not just around her, but inside her. She entered her room, softly closed the door, and stood in front of the mirror. It was the same mirror she used to cry in front of, the same one where she once questioned herself, asking, "What did I do wrong?" But tonight, her reflection looked different, not because of makeup or clothes, but because of the quiet strength in her eyes. She wasn't smiling because people finally respected her. She was smiling because she had finally respected herself. Zola had learned something deep, that love isn't proven by how long you can stay quiet, or how much pain you can endure without complaint. It's not about being a good wife by losing your voice. Real love means standing up, not in anger, but in truth. Real love means speaking, even when your voice shakes, and real love listens. She had waited so long for someone to fight for her, but in the end, it was her choice that changed everything. Choosing to leave the shadows, choosing not to beg for a seat at the table, but to own the table, choosing to speak, even when no one wanted to hear her, and finally, being her. Tobe had grown too. He made his choice, and it mattered. But Zola didn't need saving. She needed space to stand tall, and now she had it. She had power, not because someone gave it to her, but because she took it, gently, with dignity. As she stood in the soft light of her room, she whispered her truth in a calm voice. Love is not proven by staying silent. It's proven by speaking and being heard. And with that, Zola turned off the light, not as someone who finally won, but as someone who finally chose herself, not a fairy tale ending, something better, something real.